Hello everyone, and welcome to another installment of Slammin Synapses right here on Facebook and YouTube. This segment will be submitted for possible inclusion to the PW Insider fan level websites. That's pwinsider.com, pwinsiderelite.com, and pwinsiderextra.com. Like I said many times before, the Elite site is a great paid site to go to. Lots of great audio, lots of great video. I doubt you'll be disappointed. I know I haven't, and I've been a member since day one. By all means, check them out. It's very well worth it. And if you're me on YouTube, you'll see a subscribe button up here. Click on that. Keep up to date with the ongoing series at Slammin Synapses. If you want to drop me a comment, you'll see a thing at the bottom to do so. If you're viewing me with your phone, like I said, there's many ways of doing that too. So without any further ado, we're just going to jump right into the segment here. First off, I did not do a post-Night of Champions wrap-up, so we're going to do part of that here today. We had Air Boom defeating Miz and R-Truth by disqualification to retain the titles. You had Cody Rhodes versus Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase loses again. I don't know where they're going with him. I don't know why they have such a thing against him. He's definitely got on the mic. He definitely has the skills, but for some reason they're not getting behind him. I don't know why. Dolph Ziggler retained the U.S. title in a fatal four-way against Jack Swagger, Alex Riley, and John Morrison. That was definitely a good encounter. Mark Henry defeated Randy Orton to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Thing that's scratching my head, and I don't know if I fell asleep or missed out on something, but it seems like it just got to a point to where they were having this great match, and then it just goes to the finish. It just seemed like there's some part of the match where it's like, okay, we gotta take this home, and they just went to the end. I mean, it's like it's like they're standing together. Randy Orton tries the RKO, and it didn't really seem like he had him in position for that. Then all of a sudden, Mark Henry picks him up, gives him the world's strongest slam, and that's it. No attempt to kick out, no nothing. It was just went to the finish. Like I said, maybe I missed out something. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, Mark Henry defeated Randy Orton to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Kelly retained the Divas Championship as she defeated Beth Phoenix. John Cena, again, becomes the World Heavyweight Champion as he beats Alberto Del Rio. I would have kept the belt on Alberto Del Rio for at least a couple more weeks. Would have made Hell in the Cell a little bit more interesting. Now you have Hell in the Cell with John Cena defending the title again. Now, for something that's happening 2 weeks from now, you would think, okay, we're gonna make this interesting, we're gonna make this brutal, and then we get John Cena go out on top. For some reason, it's like, okay, we got to put the title on now. So I don't know. And in the main event, Triple H defeated CM Punk to retain COO leadership. Great match. Miz and R-Truth came out. They jumped Triple H and CM Punk. Don't know why they include CM Punk in there, but if my issues were against one, I can't see where beating up the other guy would help my situation out either. So while I'm putting a finisher on one guy, my partner's putting a finisher on the other guy, and it's like, okay, we're gonna wear him down just enough so that he can not have the advantage. It was a very interesting match. I can't say I was surprised by the fact that Triple H won, but they could have done so much more. It's just interesting. I haven't seen Raw all the way yet, but I am aware that something happened on that show. So, not going to discuss it because I haven't seen it yet, and I refuse to discuss things I haven't seen. Unless we're talking about TNA, but it's another story for another time. But, yeah, it's interesting to go with that. Considering how fast they've pushed this storyline through, be interested to see where they go with it. WWE for the past few weeks, they've had their moments, but for the most part, it's like you lost so many viewers since SummerSlam. Yeah, the opportunity to bring people in and give them something to watch and get behind and get interested in. Yet for some reason, we lost all these viewers when you could have kept them. Instead, it's like, okay, we got all your attention. Now we're just going to take this guy, put him on the back burner, Let me see, I'm trying to remember that. It was kind of like that Steve Austin promo that he did in ECW when he was talking about how things were in WCW. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to have this idea. It's like, no, brother, that's not for you, buddy. Oh, then we're going to do this and that and other. No, that's spot not for you, brother. Oh, and then we're going to do this and we're going to go to the top of the charts. And no, it's too bad. That spot's already taken for someone else. You know, that's what it seems like nowadays. Instead of reacting to the way the public has been going, they just want to say, you know, we don't care what you think. We don't care that you're behind this guy. We don't care that you're behind that guy either. We have our ideals, and you're gonna like them whether you like them or not. Back in the old days, if like somebody caught on fire and that wasn't their spot, they weren't destined for that. Most federations got behind them. It's like, okay, the crowd's reacting to this. The crowd is responding to this. We didn't plan it this way, but the crowd is responding to it. Just take advantage of it. Just grab it by the gruff of the neck and pull it every which way you can. This guy's getting over. We should do something with him. We should make it count. I mean, we don't necessarily have to put the title on him, but if it gets that way, we just might have to. But yeah, there's been so many people that were in spots where they weren't supposed to get over, but they did. And they got behind them. And pushed them. And like, say for instance, like WWE with Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes came in. They put polka dots on him. They figured they'd humble him. What did he do? He got it over. Fans responded. And what did they do? They got behind Dusty Rhodes, even though they still made him wear polka dots. They got behind him. They don't do that nowadays. I mean, they may dangle the carrot a few times, but they don't really get behind who people want them to get behind. And that's just sad. It's kind of depressing. It's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where the week's upcoming is going. Especially now that Linda McMahon has announced her run for Senate. And we all saw what happened the last time. Now, some may say that Linda McMahon is so distanced from WWE. But she's always going to be known for that. You can't just erase your past. WWE may want to erase your past, but in the game of life, some things aren't that easy to get rid of. Some things are just not that easy to get rid of. You look at Jesse Ventura, he ran for governor. And what was his thing? I'm proud to be a wrestler. I was a wrestler. I'm gonna live and die being a wrestler or in wrestling somehow. He embraced it and took it, and that's why I appreciate it. He didn't try to hide behind anything. He didn't try to distance himself from it. It's like, this is what I am. If you're gonna damn me for what I am, not for what I'm attempting not to be. So WWE is going to be very interesting in the upcoming days and months. Can't say they're going to have much competition, because I mean TNA, been trying to catch up on TNA a little bit. Like I said many times before, TNA has gotten to a point where if I happen to be watching it, I DVR it if I happen to watch it, if I happen to catch an episode. But right now I have it where it's like set up to delete as space is needed, because there's nothing that has been on the show that has made me say, oh, I gotta watch this. And considering what's been going on in TNA nowadays, I mean, you have Kurt Angle, who had issues. What they do? They keep the title on him. This was WWE, and as much as I can talk about what WWE does wrong, I mean, they do a lot of things that are right. Like in this case, if Kurt Angle was WWE champion, we saw what happened with Van Dam and Sabu when Van Dam got pulled over for the marijuana stuff. He went from 2 titles, nothing. Went from being WWE champion, ECW champion, to nothing. Why? outside activities. Put a black eye on it. They had no choice but to do that. You have Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, who recently was sentenced to 10 days in jail, a rehab thing, and 30 months of probation. What do they do? They still push him. They were pushing him even when he was up on charges. Up until the point of, okay, we're going to put you on a card on the same night that you're going to be sentenced or going to trial. You have Matt Hardy, recently released, no longer with TNA. But yeah, he was getting into issues then. And what happens? They still kept trying to push him. I don't know if they were trying to get as much mileage out of him before he had to go, but they still tried to push him. Hulk Hogan. And I've seen some interviews where he will talk about everything else other than where he's at. And when he does talk on things about TNA, it's about things that haven't happened yet. About, okay, it's like, you're going to see this, you're going to see that. Oh, you're going to see the red and yellow come back out. Yeah, try doing that, WWE. Give away your storylines. I mean, you go from here to just like gone. Drew McIntyre is a good example of that. At an incident hotel, he was being pushed to the heights, to the point where by now I think he probably would have been a world heavyweight champion or a little bit higher. But his incidents outside the ring got the better of him. And other things as well. But he went from here to down here. Why? Because the company that I was in doesn't appreciate being put in a negative light. Unfortunately, TNA for some reason does. I don't know why. It's like it's a desperate act of a desperate man. And I don't know what it is about that company that the owner doesn't see it, that the people other than the booker and the creative team doesn't see it. And if they do, and if they are seeing it, why they're just ignoring it? Because your viewers aren't there. Really, your viewers aren't there. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. If I'm not drawn to watching your product, and you're on a nationwide basis, then it's kind of like, and I'm not the model of all wrestling fans, but if I'm not watching your product and don't feel drawn to your product, imagine how a lot of other people are. Like I said many times before, I was one of those people that did the weekly pay-per-views every week, that spent the $10 a week for TNA. If that were to happen now, I don't think I'd do that. Why? Because there's nothing to compel me to do so. There's nothing on it right now that says, hey, watch me. I mean, I read the results and I'll watch how it plays out, but there's nothing that screams out, watch me. Eventually they'll get the hang of it, to get the point behind it. But yeah, it just doesn't scream out, watch me. Ring of Honor. They're getting up there with their new ownership. It sounds like they're getting their ducks in a row. Personally, I wish I was in an area that had a Sinclair TV station, but I don't. So I might be relying on the website, but like I said, I'm typically not the type of person that watches on the web, but like I said, a bit hypocritical for me to make a statement like that concerning the fact I'm broadcasting myself on YouTube, which is on the net, but go figure. So makes me just want to put my head down, close my eyes, and just think and ponder and just remember days gone by to where the product was hot, to where the product was sensational, and there was more than one federation drawing you in. One other thing I want to talk about. Survivor Series upcoming. Survivor Series that's been promoted as a tag, as John Cena and The Rock in a tag team at the Survivor Series. In a tag team. In a Survivor Series match. Together. Now, if I'm WWE, I wouldn't do that. I mean, you're making this big deal about Rock and Cena at WrestleMania, hoping to draw an audience. And granted, by now you probably would have drawn an audience by all the people that bought tickets to see that. But have patience. Have patience with your stuff, because this makes no sense. The crutch that you have of putting people who don't like each other in tag team matches with each other makes no sense. Back in my day, you would never see, I mean, granted, it took him becoming face to be on the same team, but you would never see like Magnum TA teaming up with Nikita Koloff. You would never see Ric Flair teaming with Dusty Rhodes. I mean, granted, that did happen, but that was before Ric Flair and the Horsemen turned on Dusty. But you would never see Ric Flair tag with Dusty Rhodes. Before the Mega Powers came about, before Randy Savage was involved with Donkey Kong Man, you would never see Hulk Hogan team with Randy Savage. You would never see... Who else wouldn't you see? You wouldn't see Tito Santana team with Greg Valentine. Or Roddy Piper team with Greg Valentine when they were in that gruesome dog collar match. It just doesn't make sense to have people that should be facing each other tag together. I don't know where that thought process came from, but it's been a crutch you've been utilizing it for the longest time. And I've equated this to comic books in a sense. With Spider-Man in The Outlaws. Spider-Man being John Cena, the Outlaws being everyone else. You have John Cena buddy-buddy with Sheamus. John Cena and Sheamus had a very, very heated feud, very heated rivalry. Now all of a sudden they're good friends. Randy Orton punts your dad in the head. Beats him senseless. Yeah, John Cena and Randy Orton best of buds now. John Cena, CM Punk. Heated rivalry for months. And they're tag team partners. I guess it would make sense if Randy Orton and Triple H teamed again. I mean, after all, Randy Orton DDT'd Stephanie, beat the crap out of Triple H, and went upon his merry way. So it wouldn't surprise me before long to see Randy Orton and Triple H in a tag team match. But yeah, it just seems like there are things that shouldn't be happening that are for some reason. And I really don't know why. I really have no answer. I really couldn't even speculate as to why they do things the way they do. And I know this segment's been a let's bash WWE and let's bash TNA, but some things have to be said. And I've said this before. If you look at my surroundings, I technically am in a basement doing this, so I am one of these basement dwellers, telling my opinions on the internet. But to be honest, I'm a fan. It doesn't matter whether I'm in a basement, doesn't matter whether I'm upstairs, doesn't matter whether I'm in my car or not. I could be at work, I could be at the mall. I'm still a wrestling fan. And granted, my opinion will always be mine and reflects only my opinions. But I am one of your demographic that watches your shows and has been watching wrestling for a very long time, to a point where I want to enjoy the product. I mean, CM Punk says it himself. I want to enjoy it. I want to have fun with it. But lately, there's been a lot of things that's been making me scratch my head a lot. As I tell people at work, when it comes to things, this is kind of one of the reasons why I keep my hair short. To keep me from pulling it out. But yeah, I am one of the people that you have watching you. And there are things, like I said, that just make me scratch my head. I don't like doing these segments where I'm pointing out the bad things. I will love more than anything pointing out the good, because there have been a lot of good things that go on. I'm not one of these types that likes to thrive on controversy, where it's like, okay, we're gonna talk about this, and it'd be like, ooh. No, I'd rather just come out and say, you know, got this exciting card, this exciting night, had this great match happen. I was blown away by it. It's like, wow, I can't see what happens next. I would love to be doing this on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, I can't. I really can't. I can't force myself to. I mean, I'm not one that thrives on negativity. Not the one that thrives on pessimism. I'd rather be optimistic and hope that everything turns out for the best. And that's what I'm hoping. That's what I pray for. That's what I wish would happen. That somehow someone will get a clue and say, hey, we should get back to the way things were. I mean, like, you have these people, like, whoever is writing this stuff, you have tons of stuff at your disposal. You have tons of libraries that you could pull from. You could close your eyes and pull from a tape and say, you know, I think I'm going to take this one. I'm going to look at it and be like, start taking notes. It's like, okay, this got over with the crowd at that time. This would happen. I mean, you could take a lot of old-fashioned values and make them modern. So you just sit there, you take notes. It's like, okay, Dusty Rhodes got over. Oh, the crowd was getting into that. Oh, promo, he was doing this. Oh, wait, so crowd didn't like that one, so they kind of scratched that. Crowd's really getting into this one, so and they took off that way. So maybe we should borrow something from that. No, instead it's like, okay, crowd's getting into this. It's not what we want. So we're going to bury that. Crowd's chanting this guy's name. We're not going to put him on TV. We're just going to bury him. Put him on the side. Crowd doesn't like this angle. We love it tremendously. We're going to push it down your throat no matter what. That's how it is nowadays. That's how it is. That's why they're losing people. That's, in my opinion, that's why they're losing people. Because they don't listen to their audience. And those that don't listen to their audience are doomed for failure. I had a boss a long time ago tell me, I'm not the boss of this place. He owned his own comic book shop. And he said, I'm not the boss. I'm the employee to my customers. My customers dictate what I do. In terms of books that I carry, in terms of supply that I do. And granted, I'm going to carry some stuff for the collectors, but when it comes right down to it, the people that matter are those people that spend the money on your pay-per-views, that spend money on your merchandise, that watch your product every week and contribute, if they're a Nielsen family, to your ratings points. They are the ones that you need to cater to, and not to yourself. Because if you're just writing for yourself and ignoring your core audience, you will fail. You may have lots of money that you could go on forever in a day, but when it boils right down to it, you're not going to have an audience if you don't give them something to watch out for. And if they are watching and there is a carrot and there is something that says, hey, this is what we want to watch, and you don't give it to them because you're so arrogant, then your audience will not watch you and will not follow you. TNA should be much higher than they are. Because people got behind them. People, it's like, okay, this is something different. But then over time they bring in all these cast-offs. They disregard who brought them to the dance. They try stupid angles with stupid stories. And they try to rush so many things that make no sense. That no one watches them. I don't even watch them. There's an audience that they could have had that no longer watches them. WWE, granted, they embraced the CM Punk thing. But once it got to a point, they disregarded it. They told their audience they didn't matter anymore. And like I said, if you tell your audience they don't matter, they're going to tell you you don't matter. Simple as that. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm proud to be a wrestling fan. I would die a wrestling fan. But in the end, my friend, will you even be a blip on my radar? Or will you be something that is just long forgotten? Because you didn't like know what you were doing. Done ranting. Drop me a comment. Email me. You see a graphic on here. Feel free. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, let me know. If you have no opinion one way or the other, let me know. If you feel the same way I do, share this with people. Embed it wherever you can, so the voice can be heard. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's fine. Like I said, this is my opinion. I will always say this is my opinion. In my opinion alone, I represent myself when I do these. So if your opinion's not in agreement with mine, that's fine. This is America. We're entitled to that. But if you agree with what I'm saying, share this with people. Shout it from the highest rooftops. That got mad as hell. I'm not taking it anymore. But yeah, drop me a comment. Try me on Facebook. Let me know. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. Going into this week, I had some ideas in mind, but yeah. So for Slammin Synapses, this is Albert Guerrier. Hopefully next week will be a little bit more cheerier. Good night, everybody.